this is our double top plates of our studs. So we're gonna basically just draw our ceiling joist and our roof joist. So right now I'm just going to draw a very light line for my ceiling joist. And you know what? For this roof joist, I'm just going to change this to a 2x8 just for just to give it a little more height here. So that's our ceiling joist. Now my roof joist is at a 3/12 pitch, which again means for every 12 inches of run, it's going to rise 3 inches. So typically, how I do that is I'm going to figure out where I'm going to start my rafter. So typically, your rafter is well, you can draw it kind of a few ways. Because remember, we're going to notch that little bird's mouth into our rafter. So we could kind of put it, almost anywhere on there. So I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to come over. I'm going to start like let's see here. If I can do that. So I'm going to basically have my edge of my rafter at like the midpoint of this stud, the 2x6 double top plate. And so what I'm going to start with is I'm going to just measure like 12 inches over and then 3 inches up, so I can just figure out what my rise is. And I'm going to use that as like my guideline here. So that's that real light line right there. And then I said that's a 2x8, so I'm just going to measure a 2x8 here. So that's 7 1/4 inches, right? Let's see. I'm just going to bear with me. I'm just going to mark these here. 7 1/4. 7 1/4. And I'm going to just draw those very lightly. And then I also said this was a 2-foot overhang. So I'm going to come out my 2 feet. And typically we're going to measure from the face of the sheeting. So if I come out 1 foot, 2 foot, so that's going to come out to there. So I'm going to put another break line like right here, because I'm not going to worry about that. I just want to focus with everything that's happening in this area here. So now I can go back. I lightly drew these lines. I can put them in a little bit darker now. So I've got my 2x8. Got my little bird's mouth that's like right in there. And that's coming down to there. And now I've got my 2x6 ceiling joist that's kind of coming right here. And we can see where these overlap. So where it overlaps is we'll just draw that edge as a dashed line. So that's my ceiling joist, that's my rafter. And just so we know, I'm gonna make a little label, and we'll say that's 12 and 3. So that's kind of the pitch of that. So the next step is that's basically like my framing. So I'm going to show my drywall that's on the ceiling, and I'm also going to show my sheeting which is right there. Where my erasers go? Here it is. I need a little more space to get this to get my overhang on here. Maybe I should have just made it a 1 foot overhang. That's okay. So now we want to put our fascia and our soffit on. So let's just say in this case here, let's just say it's a 1 by 10 fascia. So a 1 by 10 is going to be 9 1/4 inches tall. So I'm just going to draw that on here. That's going to come down to like here. Okay. And we'll just say it's like an aluminum soffit. So I'm going to have my soffit goes across here. And again, that is the that's like those aluminum panels. But we need something to support those soffit panels. So we're gonna run like 2x4s here. And then there's going to be a 2x4 here that ties into. So that's kind of the subframing that we have for that. And this is essentially the detail. We're going to also have a drip edge. That's going to kind of go like that. Problem is I'm using a thick pencil. I should probably use a thinner one. There. So we're going to just kind of have like a kind of a subtle overlap with our shingles. When we get our geometry kind of done, we would want to kind of hatch in the things we cut through. So we're going to be putting like some dashed lines like this, and maybe another line going through there like super light to kind of show our hatching of our plywood. And then we've got our wood that we're cutting through here for our subfascia, so we'll use kind of that curved wood, kind of hatching for that. And we can put our insulation into our wall, and then we're also going to have insulation in our ceiling also. So that's what we're looking at doing when we're looking at our eave details, is basically it's going to be something kind of like that. Does anyone have any questions so far with that geometry, or how I kind of went across and did that? Now we've got our top plates here. The truss is going to bear flat on this, and we're going to have a bottom chord. So that's going to be like a 2x4. And then we're going to have a top chord that's coming down on an angle. And then it's going to come out with whatever our overhang is. So our truss is going to look something kind of like this, give or take. And when I'm asking for a heel height there, I'm from this point here to here, that's that 1 foot. So this way what I can do is when I put my insulation in, oh, where are we at right now? Is it, so my truss is here, so I have more room for my insulation. So if I wanted to put my insulation in here, it locks up when it's drawing something curved. We want to have uniform labels, and we want to use some decent hand lettering. But we want to basically label our shingles, our underlayment, our sheeting, our rafter or our truss. We're going to label our drip edge. We're going to label our fascia, our outlook, our soffit. We want to label our insulation, shingles, underlayment, roofing, insulation. Oh, we want to do the ceiling joist and the drywall. So we're going to definitely want to so basically all those things we want to label.